Hello, today we're going to talk about 4 training mistakes that will hurt your running. Please like and subscribe if you find this video helpful. My name is Tom.
And I'm Denise.
And we are 2 runners in our 60s.
And sometimes we're known to run together.
One big mistake the runners make is failing to listen to their body and make adjustments in response to how they're feeling. And I'm primarily referring to injuries. We sometimes, when we have a little niggle that we haven't felt before, or maybe we have felt it for a while, we tend to run through an injury rather than listening to our body and trying to make a judgment whether or not we should cut back a little bit. My experience recently, I think, is a good example. I have been feeling a small, pretty mild little pain in my left calf lately, and I have made some adjustments in response to that. Part of the reason I'm not running through this very mild pain is because I've had calf injuries in the past that have definitely been problems where I've lost a lot of training time. So I run 3 days a week, and I also do hill sprints, as I've mentioned before, as well as about 4 short strides in the early part of my run. I've decided for a while at least to stop doing hill sprints and to stop doing strides, because those are big stressors. I think they're good, but they shouldn't be done when your body is undergoing stress, niggles, little minor injuries. So those should only be done when your legs are healthy. So another thing that I've done in response to listening to my body is to take 2 days off instead of 1 day off from my runs. As I mentioned, I run 3 days a week, and today was actually in my original schedule. Today was a running day, which would have been just 2 days after my previous run. So I decided to take today off and run tomorrow. So that's 2 days off. So it's actually not going to hurt my weekly total of miles. My goal was to run 18 or 19 miles this week, and I'm still going to be able to accomplish that. That works just, of course, because I only run 3 days a week anyway. That's just my own example of listening to my body. So it's important to listen to your body, make adjustments. Primarily, the purpose is to avoid injury.
All right, another thing that can kind of blow your training is not documenting what you're doing, especially if you're working towards a goal. You want to be able to see what you did last week and last month and how you're improving. You want to be able to look at your distances, your times, what felt better, what was harder, how to work from what you know. And if you don't document that, you won't remember. I won't remember for a few days the details of my run. So unless you've got a brain that just traps everything in there, I think you'll find that documenting is very important. So how do you document? You can just write it on a piece of paper. You can type it into a journal on your computer. There are written journals. I purchased a spiral notebook that was a Jeff Galloway product that gave me space to fill in a lot of details about my run. But what I found is Strava is the easiest and the best way to document. Takes a minute or two. I almost always post a photo of something I saw on my run. And I could put in my distance and my time. So many of those things are already in there with Strava. It's been recorded for me. And I can put in personal notes. I can put in notes that I would have Strava contacts, look over, and other things that are just for myself. So I think it's really important to document. And if you have a goal, you want to work towards something, you'll see how you're doing. You can go back and evaluate.
A third training mistake would be to not do your strength training. Strength training is, and you've heard it before, I'm sure, strength training is essential for preventing injuries. It's essential for most of us when I put it that way. Some people are just Iron men, Iron women, and can pretty much do anything and just run, no strength training at all, and stay uninjured. But those are rare examples. For most of us, it's important to do strength training. When I say strength training, the important things to do for runners are the type of strengthening exercises that work the hips, the hamstrings, the glutes, and the calf muscles, and even the thigh muscles, although thighs tend to not be a problem with runners. It's usually those other areas. And it's also very helpful to work the core muscles as well, so the midsection. Those will help to prevent back injuries and things like that. So strength training is important. I also work the upper body, the arms, the shoulders, everything above the abdominal muscles, just simply because it's a good idea especially for those of us that are in our 60s or older. It's a very good idea to keep our muscles toned and strong. Prevents what's it called, Denise? Bone atrophy. And so it not only strengthens the muscles, but it strengthens the bones as well. And so those of us in our 60s and older definitely can benefit from that.
So another problem with training is being inconsistent. We all know people that have fallen off the wagon, whether it's substance abuse, eating issues, just trying to stay with a discipline that we've trained ourselves to do. You fall off the wagon, it's harder to get back on. So consistency is really important with running. And it's easy to talk yourself out of it when the day is gray or rainy or icy or snowy, or you're not feeling really great, or you've got a million things to do. So I've found that I just have to commit to consistency. So I typically run 3 or 4 days a week. I try to run every other day, rarely run 2 days in a row. But I know that I have one day that I can shirk my running and still run 3 days a week. So I think that's pretty important to do. I negotiate with myself. I'll look at the weather if I really don't want to go, and I'll look at tomorrow's weather, and I'll say, is it going to be better or is it going to be worse? So sometimes that'll be my judgment about whether to run today or not. But I can say that I rarely come back from a run and say, gee, I wish I wouldn't have run today. I feel better, my attitude's better. There's this satisfaction knowing that I did get out there and run. I cannot think of any good reason not to be consistent if you want to continue to run for a long time. And if you're training for a goal too, especially, you really do want to maintain that consistency.
Yeah, that's so true. I found, I've mentioned before that in 2025, I really lost a lot of fitness, and it wasn't because I was slacking off. It was just battling injuries, and so I was inconsistent, not out of my own choice. And I really lost a lot of fitness. And so consistency, doing your best to stick to the schedule, is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so there's 4 training mistakes that can really hurt your running. Again, like and subscribe, and we will see you in a week. Bye.